What's up, YouTube? Absolutely gorgeous day here today. Very thankful because we just been craving for better weather. It's just rain, rain, rain all the time, and to get a nice span of sunny days is really awesome. So it's kind of flicked that switch in my head, and I gotta get this thing on the road and out there. Went and got some plates today. So actually, these are the vanity plates that you can get in BC right now for BC parks. There's 3 different styles. This is the one I went with. It's not a big deal. It's just something I wanted to. I've never had a vanity plate, so whatever. Batteries run down, so I've been trying to charge it. Charger's definitely finally smoked. I mean, it just keeps on switching to overload, and but I should be able to get the car to start with it. Gotta change the oil. So I went and grabbed an oil filter. I'm gonna drop it. I got plenty of oil here, and so that's where I'm gonna start. At least get the oil changed. Probably do a quick cleanup. I definitely got to do the windows. It is the following day, but I'll show you what I ended up getting done last night anyway. But I did get the plates on front and rear. I razor bladed all the glass on the outside except for the side windows. I've still got to do those, and gave the windows a nice wash all around. Windshield's clean as it is, being cracked, but it's nice and clean. Front plates on. As you see, the amber lights are all on now, and obviously the wheels are on and it's sitting on the ground, so you can kind of get an idea of what it looks like. And I also decided to clean the interior a little bit. I didn't bust out the vacuum, but I gave the dash, door panels, everything a good wipe down. The inside glass is all wiped down. Before I can go really do any major driving, I've got to do something with the taillights for my signals, because I no longer want to use these center bulbs for the signals. I just want these to be tails. So in order to do that, because this is Japanese wiring and they have an independent signal away from the brake lights, in majority of American cars, you know, at least back in the day, they all use the brake lights as the signal lamps. So because the tails are completely red, I'm gonna use the brake lights as the signal lamps, and I think that's the best option. So in order to achieve that, I'm just gonna basically use this guy. It's just a trailer adapter. All the car wiring comes in on this side, and it adapts for a trailer on the output side. So basically the outputs on this are left turn stop and right turn stop, when the inputs are right turn, left turn, and stop. So it does a conversion on the inside. Has an extra battery source. So I'm sure it can take some of the load if there's any extra lighting on the output side. And I mean, we're just talking LEDs. These things are known to overheat and get damaged because of bad wiring and bad grounds on trailers. And sometimes you'll find why the trailer lighting doesn't work is one of these is in there, and it's got a great big heat bubble sticking out of the side of it because it's been pretty much melted on the inside. So basically, I'm going to just try and find out what circuits I need over here and tap in. Probably plant this module down here somewhere and just have the wiring coming up to it. Maybe even right up in here. And then see if it works. So this is taking much longer than expected. I started hooking up this guy to the circuit. Well, I actually had to bring in my own power circuit up from the ignition switch, so I'll have to zip tie that along the original harness. So I've been finding what circuits I need. So the green and yellow, green with yellow stripe is your right signal. Your green with black stripe is your left signal. And your red with green stripe is your brake. So I've got those ones figured out. Tails. My wiring diagram tells me it's the red and with blue stripe, and I've got 4 of them. I mean, there's quite a. You got all the license lamps and the rear tails, and so I'm thinking that, you know, it's a bunch of those circuits, and I'm checking all of them, and I'm not getting any power when I turn the lights on. So I've traced it up to the switch, and I've checked for it at the switch. The switch's got no power coming out of it, and I know there's this melted fuse in the fuse panel. So automatically I just suspect that's the one. I don't actually have the fuse panel cover, so I can't be sure that that was the tail lamp fuse. I did find a diagram online, and sure enough, that's the one. So when I test the circuit from the switch, it's shorted to ground, dead short, and someone's been putting in a fuse. You know, they probably started with the 15 that was in there, maybe moved up to the 20, and then maybe a 30, and looks like a 20 melted right in there. I pulled it out. So this whole time the car hasn't, since I bought it, it hasn't had clearance lights, marker lights, or tail lamps. And I just, I guess I kind of figured that, but didn't really pay too much attention to it. So now that I'm getting this thing all going for my signals, I obviously got to get my tail lights going properly too. And they don't actually have to be wired through the box, but I certainly have to fix them. So I don't know if I had mentioned in the last clip, because it's the next morning, worked on this thing for a couple hours last night. The tail lamp circuit doesn't work. I've already got it in my mind, just rewire the thing, and then I know it'll be good, and it'll be good for probably as long as I have the car anyway. So that's probably what I'm going to start doing this morning. And then try and finish up wiring up that trailer lighting module, just so that I can have the rear lights, well actually all the lights working properly, and so I don't get a ticket and waste money that I don't want to. So yeah, I guess the next plan of attack is actually run some new wiring directly off the switch underneath the dash, and start running it through the car and attaching it to where it needs to go. And being generally it's all LED lighting that's going to be lit off of it, it's going to be very, very low amperage, so I can actually use that one wire to run the whole circuit back. And the splices I'll just make at each light. And the same for the front harness. I have to run the wire a little strangely through the car. I'm not sure how I'm going to run it yet. Anyways, enough about electrical. I'll just try and get some new wiring run through here, and then show you what I did to actually perform the repair. So I basically spent the entire day trying to figure out what was going on here, because I just started trying to rewire the circuit, and other crazy stuff started happening. A bunch of backfeeding from just having bulbs in when I shouldn't have had them in, and confusing me was one of the problems. So I took out all the bulbs, rewired the entire taillight clearance circuit, but then I got to the fronts, and the fronts weren't working, so I have the entire circuit rewired to the fronts for the tail lights, or the clearance lights actually, and then the markers just started doing weird stuff, so I had to basically cut out all these just quick connects that someone had in there and solder all the connections. I also found that the hatch for the brake light didn't have a good ground. This is not actually a ground, so it was actually grounding through the hinges, and when I would get this down low, I don't know if it was causing excessive amperage when I had the brake lights on. So I got a new ground on the hatch door. My box is completely wired in. The issue with this guy and having LEDs in the back is the flasher started going quick. And the only kind of way around it is either to wire in some resistors or have an alternative bulb. and I had to hook it before the box to make the lights work properly. So after I got all that figured out, finally it's at the point that the lights fully work. The taillight circuit that was blowing the fuse constantly is now completely rewired. It is still shorted to ground, so there's definitely a short on that circuit. So now I gotta just try and figure out, well, what am I gonna do with either putting a resistor or something to make the signal lights flash at a normal pace. And maybe I'll just have to use a bulb for now. Then I'll end up soldering a bunch of connections up and showing you guys in a time lapse, just basically getting this all together, and then show you what the lights actually look like when they're being lit. Well, the time is now. I'm going to try and start the car as long as the battery's not dead and go for a drive. If I break down, I'm going to try and stay generally close to home, but if I can, I'm going to do a little loop and maybe get out onto the highway for a second and just determine what other problems the car might have, and just get a general feel of how everything feels, and power-wise, handling-wise, braking-wise. So yeah, I don't know exactly how loud this is going to be on camera, because I'm actually going to use a different mic for this. The car is very loud, and I don't like driving it around like this. But first we got to see if it starts. So it starts. Pulls the hood. Wish me luck. Too loud. done yet, so.
Smoke back there. Car slipped out a little bit, but it gets so much traction. Burns oil. Breaks down on power a little bit too. But all in all, I mean, I'm on the highway probably cruising 80. Felt really good. Brakes are really good. Brakes are amazing. But they better be, right? But really, it's a driving car. I mean, I could risk getting a fine for the exhaust, I suppose, but felt half decently safe. And I hear a bit of bearing wash coming when I have the clutch out. I should probably check the diff or the trans fluid on it. But, I mean, for the Maiden Voyage, the car drove. What more could you ask for? Didn't kill anyone, didn't kill myself. It's another bonus. So, first impressions. I'd like to have just a little bit more of everything except brakes. It's underpowered. The gearing's a little strange. The suspension is really rough and old. The front coils could be close to empty. Seemed like I was just getting a lot of spring bounce on the front. There's a lot of rattles. The engine did smoke when I tore out of the one corner there. So I mean, it's obvious. It's an old car. Basically a chassis that I got an old used engine in, right? So really, all in all, with all those things being said, the car is fun to drive. It's low to the ground. You can just tell how it's going to take corners. Really light feeling, really light steering. So yeah, it's been a long time since I've actually driven a 240. Remember driving a few way back and just doing brakes on a customer's vehicle and going for a road test. This thing feels way different from those cars from what I can remember. Now of course the alignment's way out, and you know the chassis is a lot looser probably. It's 27-year-old car. I mentioned in the description of my last video that I'm going to start trying to post videos for Sunday and Thursday. That way I can kind of start getting on a regular routine of when I'm going to actually do the work and be able to do the video and get it up. It seems like I'm able to get 2 videos up a week, and in most cases I have enough work to do that I can make 2 videos a week. So it's probably more than that sometimes, and and other times it'll be a little less. I found it funny, it was sometime last week someone commented, how is it that I only have 134 subs? And I think it was later that night or the next day, and I looked and there was 131. Now there's 141. So I'm still continuing to climb. That's good. You guys just keep on coming in the door and subbing when you want to. That's fine with me. I'm not pressuring anyone. The views are what is most important to me. If you guys are watching, that means my stuff's getting out there, and eventually others are going to see it. And like I was saying earlier, more power. The car definitely needs more power. At least 2 times the power to start. I've been looking into the 1UZ swap, and it gets expensive as soon as you want to add the 350Z 6-speed. So I found R32 RB20 engines in Quebec at a really good price, and I think that's something I should be able to budget for quite easily next winter. And then there's quite a bit of information about getting an RB into an S13 chassis, so I think that's probably the way to go. But only time will tell. I won't know till then, and maybe I'll have more money to spend than I think. Maybe I'll have less money to spend than I think. Maybe the car will be in a ditch, and I won't have it anymore. So yeah, if you like this video, definitely give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for me. And leave your questions and comments further down below. And I'll see you in the next one.